Hey everyone, it's time to Nephis and chill. In this video, we'll be going over Update 40's Endless Archive and the rewards you can procure from within this newest solo and duo dungeon in the Elder Scrolls Online. Big thank you to Bethesda for sponsoring this video, and if you guys want to check out the Endless Dungeon-like activity and try beating my questionable score on the Endless Archive leaderboards, it is now available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. If you don't have the Elder Scrolls Online yet, you can get it through my link in the video description below. In addition to new quality of life additions that came with Update 40, such as the Grandmaster crafting stations that consumes all of your tunables, the in-game group finder that will help you find a group to play with, and the massive jewelry changes, the Endless Archive is a new PvE challenge that blends roguelike elements and some trippy Elder Scrolls. You can find the Endless Archive instance in the Necrom chapter zone of Apocrypha, and well, it's quite the sight once you're inside. Surprisingly, there's actually somewhat esoteric Elder Scrolls lore you can delve into, in particular the Mimics of Daedra, which is related to the quest giver you meet and also to the individual stories you can find within the Endless Archive as you fight. Lore-wise, you may actually be surprised as ESO delves into the topic of Mimics, or as some may know them, true names. Lore books or scraps of lore you can find in the Endless Archive will also end up on pedestals in the lobby of the instance, which is a nice touch in my opinion. It definitely feels like not only is the Endless Archive a piece of repeatable content, but an overlain zone with all its collectibles and charm warped into the rows of Apocrypha's books. Whether you enter the Endless Archive alone, with a friend, or with an ESO companion, it's important to understand the format of the Endless Archive, which can be summed up as follows. Each arc is composed of 5 cycles, and each cycle is composed of 3 stages, and no matter how many arcs you get through, this format will always remain the same. The first 2 stages of every cycle will have mobs with the 3rd stage of each of the 5 cycles, always ending in a boss fight. And a lot of these boss fights will look really familiar to anyone who's played ESO before in Overland, Dungeon, or even 12-man raid content. The trial bosses have had their mechanics of course adjusted for the solo or duo experience, so I wouldn't worry too much until it gets a lot harder in a later arc. On the 5th and last cycle of an entire arc, you'll always encounter the final arc boss called the Thoat Replicanum, which is a very, very trippy fight. A what?
A dragon.
Wow. Oh, I can't pump it.
Why is there a glass dragon? Mr. White!
Mr. White, you're an artist! Don't stand on the outer edge, there's fire.
It's almost dead. Okay, now do we fight the dragon?
Yep.
Oh! After you beat the arc boss, you move on to the next arc. How many arcs can you go through? Well, it's endless. You basically keep going until you spend 3 lives, or what's called threads. It's not about speedrunning either if you're going for score, but it's more of a marathon. And of course, there's a sprinkled in surprise to break up the monotony of this format in the random chance encounters of an elite ad called the Marauder, which can spawn during any of the mob stages of any cycle once per arc. These things are, well, pretty overwhelming, even for my 3600 max champion point friend, Elias, and myself.
We do as well. We usually do defensive, and sometimes offensive, depending on what we have.
Oh my god, I got sliced. Bro, I got sliced up, cut up.
Maybe I can move him.
If you cast the meteor and just run away roll dodging, you might be able to kill him. Oh, you rezzed him. Oh yeah, the synergies from the transformations, they res you. I forgot about that. We only discovered that very recently.
Oh god, there's so much stuff.
Yeah, you should move him out of the storm.
This is way too dank, dude.
I
oh god, I'm gonna die.
No,
just
you're fine, you're fine.
Just move him. Just move.
Keep moving.
He's only 130k. You'll be fine. But yeah, this is.
Besides the Marauder spawns, you can also get bonus portals that lead you to minigame rooms, which can vary in nature depending on your RNG. Completion of these minigame rooms grant you an extra reward chest, and thankfully, the system of the Endless Archive allows you to die in these minigame rooms without you losing a dread. I had a lot of fun with these rooms in particular because from turning into a watchling with, watching abilities, to just figuring out some sequential puzzles with a friend, it was pretty enjoyable. Do note that there is no normal or veteran mode for the Endless Archive, as it is specifically designed for the solo or dual experience. Armor resistances of the enemies you encounter are unlike veteran Black Rose Prison or Dragonstar Arena, where it's a uniform 18,200 resistances, and more similar to the format of veteran Master Marina with varying amounts of resistances. For example, the first cycle boss has 9100 resistances, the second cycle boss has 18,200 resistances, the third has 27,300 resistances, the fourth has 36,400 resistances, and the Doet Republicanum at the end of each arc has a regular cap of 18,200 resistances. And if you're wondering about the difficulty of the content, I would say about Arc 3 or Arc 4, you'll see a very noticeable difference in both the incoming damage you might eat and also the amount of health every elite, mob, and boss get in set increments for every arc. Things might get a little chaotic and even more difficult even for endgame players starting at around Arc 7 or 8. And after that, it's totally on you to keep going for as long as possible for hours and hours on end, but don't forget to hydrate. And if you think it's a bit tedious to tackle it again should you end the run and reset the instance, stay tuned because I'll go over some of the rewards later you can purchase in the Endless Archive that will help you go faster and more efficiently next time you come back. I would highly recommend bringing repair kits, soul gems, and other things you may need such as different item sets if you're coming in for the long haul, as adapting or changing your setups before engaging each cycle or boss can prove to speed your fights up. And don't worry, there's plenty of time to gear swap regardless of whether you're on console or PC. As you mercilessly slaughter all the creatures in the Endless Archive, another thing to change the pacing or spice up the format are the unique buffs and upgrades you can choose. Verses are temporary buffs that you can choose from at the end of every stage you complete. Verses last until the end of the next stage you go into. At the end of every cycle, you pick up visions, which are permanent buffs that last until you decide you're done with the entirety of the Endless Archive, or until it's done with your 3 lives. There's a decent pool of available verses and visions for you to encounter and pick up from as you go through the Endless Archive. The Guardian of Pestilence verse, for example, gives you a pet that explodes on your or your friend's demand, dealing disease damage around it. This verse can be buffed by the well-trained command vision, which buffs pet damage, even if you're not a pet using sorcerer or necromancer, so there's definitely some theory crafting and versatility available for anyone who wants to play around with any of these things. There's also some pretty insane permanent visions you can pick up, such as Scorching Support, which summons pools of lava where you are, that deals so much damage you'll notice with some more power-ups it will out-DPS your own skills, and choosing or stacking 3 visions of Scorching Support or Fortification gives an additional power-up like the Atronach Utility Verse that you can use during stages, which lets you engage with another layer of gameplay that is normally not present in most of the game. Both verses and visions can be categorized as offensive, defensive, or utility buffs. How you build your character with these verses and visions is totally up to you, though you might be at the mercy of RNG, as there are definitely some verses and visions I wouldn't ever want to use compared to some of the others. After spending some time in the Endless Archive, you'll notice that you accumulated a unique account-wide currency called Archival Fortunes, which you can spend inside the lobby of the Endless Archive. In the lobby, you can find one merchant, Filer Ul, offering a changing rotation of goodies that can include items and furnishing needs every week, and another merchant, Filer Tezers, offers permanent account-wide power-ups and upgrades for you to use in the Endless Archive itself. Power-ups include being able to see a 3rd verse or vision at the end of every completed stage, or amplifying the effects of your visions or verses. Another one offers an extra life or thread, and a merchant also offers guaranteed class item set pieces if you're tired of the grind for them and want to expedite things. You can also buy mystery verse scrolls that can grant you more verses that you don't have yet on the harder arcs. In addition to the power-ups, you can also get achievement locked furnishings, which, as all housing items in ES often are, look pretty stellar. Furthermore, content collectibles like the mount or pet through accumulation of things called malignant ichors or disgusting spoils are also available. Body and head markings can also be gained via achievements. If you're also an avid Tales of Tribute player and want to play with a new card deck, you can also procure the Hermaeus Mora deck through the Endless Archive. Assuming you also complete a scored run, you can also get legendary set pieces of a class-specific set and transmutation geodes in the mail you can use to change the traits of different gear pieces. Speaking of item sets, if you're returning or a new ESO player, you may have already heard whispers of class-specific sets, and it's actually the first time in the almost 10 years of the Elder Scrolls Online that item sets that can only be worn by their respective classes like Sorcerers, Dragon Knights, Arcanists, and so on have been introduced. So definitely check these sets out for your builds for either PvP or PvE potentially, or if you just want to complete your item set collection and sticker book, it's definitely another thing you can do just in case the item sets change in the future. On the technical level, the Endless Archive is actually quite impressive and is worth checking out for either aspiring or returning ESO players for a variety of reasons, including personal challenges, rewards, completionism, and so on. The more impressive part too about the Endless Archive is that it is a free content addition to the game, even if you don't have the Necrom chapter. Just like some past systems in the Elder Scrolls Online, I have no doubt you'll be surprised to find yourself enjoying the Endless Archive a lot more than you think you would, just as I did. I hope you enjoyed this overview of the Endless Archive and what it offers. If you have any questions about the Endless Archive or just about anything in ESO, you can join the ESOU Discord server, also linked down in the video description below. Until next time, friends, have fun and stay safe.
No.
Wait, I think I can kill the Manticora?
I'm the one who summoned you,
Dragon, careful. Doing the thing.
Just...
Did you not like my creature?
You have a defensive ulti, like
No.
shelter.
I missed my ulti! Okay. It's okay. He's almost dead. Oh, I'm coming at last.